Hi and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the many ways you can factorize a trinomial. To factorize means that you are going to be re-expressing an expression into a product of its factors. This is particularly useful when you want to find the roots of an equation where it basically means that what values of the variable x would give you 0 if you sub it into the expression. A trinomial takes the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are whole numbers, and a is not equal to 0. Okay, so with that said, before we get to factorizing, let's find out what a, b, and c are. Well, a will be the number, the coefficient of x squared, so that's 2. B would be the number in front of x, the coefficient of x, so that's 13. And finally, for C, this is going to be 15. Okay, so with that, let's get to factorizing. The first method of many is called factorizing by inspection. This means that we are just going to look at the expression and just write down the factors directly. So by looking at the expression, what I can tell you is that this is equal to 2x plus 3 times x plus 5. Now, why is this the case? Let's look at it in the reverse process. You're going to see that this and that, 2x and x, would be multiplied together to give us 2x squared. 3 will be multiplied by x to give us 3x. Two x will be multiplied by 5 to give us 10x. And finally, 3 will be multiplied by 5 to give us 15. This means that we are essentially trying to find the factors of 2 and 15, which when multiplied together and then added up give us b. We see that, in this case, 15 is equal to 3 times 5. And for a, this is equal to 1 times 2. If we take 5 times 2 plus 3 times 1, we get 13, which is what b is. Which is why, through inspection, we can say that 2x will be multiplied to 5, so it must not be in the same bracket. And, oops, yeah, wrong color, it's okay. 3 will be multiplied with 1, so they are not in the same bracket. 2 would belong to the x, 1 would belong to the x, because those are coefficients, or those are the coefficients when multiplied together of x squared. Okay, this is pretty hard, isn't it? So let's find a different way that we can factorize. The second method I call the box method. So go ahead and draw this box out, this table in a sense. We are going to remind ourselves that we are multiplying over here, and we are going to just draw something like this. You might also see that in some books, they'll tell you to just do this instead. Yeah, this is really up to you. First, let's fill the top left area with 2x squared. Then we fill the bottom right area with 15. We are going to take these two numbers and multiply them together. So that gives us 30x squared. Next, we are going to be listing all possible factors of 30x squared such that both factors contain x and that they multiply to give 30x squared. What do I mean? Well, for example, 1x times 30x, or x times 30x, would give us 30x squared. Same for 2x times 15x. To continue, we can have 3x times 10x, and also 5x times 6x. Next, we need to find the pair of factors that when added up give us 13x. In this case, we can see that 3x times 10x would give us 13. So because of that, just go ahead and fill in 3x and 10x into any of the remaining sections left in the box. So this would be equal to 3x and 10x. Okay, next, look at each row and column. Go ahead and write down the greatest factor out of the two numbers in each row or column. What do I mean? For example, if we look at this row right here, we can see that x is present in both 2x squared and 3x. There is nothing else that can be taken out. There's nothing else that is a common factor, so we're just going to write x down. Now let's look at this row right here. 10x and 15. They are both divisible by 5, so we're going to put 5. Whenever you only have a number, it's a good practice to write a positive or negative sign, depending on whichever is the case. You'll see why later. Now let's look at this column right here. In this column, both 2x squared and 10x can be divided by 2 as well as x. So technically, the greatest common factor between these two is going to be 2x. Finally, we'll look at this column right here. 3x and 15 can both be divided by 3. So we're going to put a 3, and like I said earlier, we're going to put the positive sign. Now, with this, we can actually just look and see that these two things are our factors. So this is just going to be equal to 2x plus 3 and x plus 5. And we are done. Pretty nice. The third method is pretty similar. Credits to Black Pen Red Pen for showing this. This is going to be the AC method with grouping. We are going to be constructing a cross like this. On the top area, we're going to take A times C, and on the bottom area, we're going to have just write B. So at the top is going to be 2 times 15, which is 30. B is going to be 13. We are going to now find the factors of 30 that when added give 13. So as we have done earlier, we know that it's 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and also 5 times 6. So this pair gives us 13 when we add it together. So it's going to be 3 and 10. These are going to be how we break up 13x. So we're going to re-express 13x as 3x and plus 10x. What do I mean? Well, let's see. This expression is equal to 2x squared plus 3x plus 10x plus 15. Now, why do we do this? Well, we can group terms together. In this case, we are going to be grouping these two terms and these two terms. Let's take a look at the greatest factor that we can find between the numbers inside the bracket. 2x squared and 3x have a common factor of x, so let's factorize that out. That leaves us 2x plus 3. What about the other one? 10x plus 15. Well, there's a common factor of 5, because both of them can be divided by 5. So that gives us 10x divided by 5 is 2x. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Hang on. This is rather similar. We have a 2x plus 3 and a 2x plus 3. What do we do from here? Well, we can imagine that 2x plus 3 is, let's say, a box. So this will be equal to x times a box plus 5 times a box. So how many boxes do we have in total? Well, this is going to be equal to x plus 5 boxes, right? So now we can re-express the box back into 2x plus 3. So this gives us x plus 5, 2x plus 3. And that's the same factorization. If you realize this is pretty similar to the box method, it's just a little bit different in terms of how you go about it. The fourth method, again, credits to black pen, red pen. It's called the tic-tac-toe method. So we are going to write, again, our expression of 2x squared plus 13x plus 15. We're going to be drawing tic-tac-toe lines. So something like this. Now, in this column, we are going to be writing two possible factors that when multiplied together give us 2x squared. And we kind of feel like it's gonna be two factors that only have x, not x squared and a constant, because when we factorize, we're probably going to end up with two binomials, or just two factors that have something x plus or minus something. So it's just going to be 2x and x. In this column, we are going to be filling it up with factors of 15. Any factor of 15. Let's say maybe 1 and 15. They multiply together to give us 15. Now what we're going to do is take this and multiply it over. This gives us, and fill it up over here. So this is going to be 30x. Take this number, multiply it over, this gives us x. This whole thing, when added together, gives us 31x. Well, that's wrong, because we wanted 13x, not 31x. So that is not right. Well, we already know that the factors are going to be 2x plus 3 and x plus 5, so let's see what happens. When we multiply 2x with 5, we get 10x. When we multiply 3 and x, we get 3x. These two added together, gives you 13x, which is what we have initially. So that's great. It means that our factors are going to be 2x plus 3 and x plus 5. To get it, just horizontally, ignore everything here. Okay. I hope you see that like all these methods are actually really similar. They're just different ways of writing it out. The next method is going to be the cross method. This method is really similar to the tic-tac-toe method. We are going to be drawing something like this. So, these two spaces we are going to fill up with factors of 2x, so it's still going to be 2x and x. These two, we're going to fill it up with factors of 15. Let's try 3 and 5 again, because we already know. Go ahead and check that these two, the ones of the same color, multiply to each other to give the correct term. So 2x times x gives us 2x squared. That's fine. 3 times 5 gives us 15. Okay, this corresponds. So the next thing that we have to do is to crisscross. These two multiply together, 2x and 5, give us 10x. These two, when multiplied together, give us 3x. So this whole thing, when added together, these two will give us 13x. Specifically, positive 13x, and also positive 15. So, okay, that means that we obtained back our initial expression, which is correct. So our factorization is just going to be the same thing, just read it off. So this is going to be 2x plus 3, x plus 5. Okay, moving on. The next method is also inspired by Black and Red Pen. It's called slide and divide. Very interesting name. Here, you have to be careful because all intermediate working is not equivalent, not equal to the original expression, so you're not allowed to use equal signs yet. We are going to be taking a and sliding it over to 15 to give us x squared plus 13x plus 30. Now this is not the same as this, so we cannot use an equal sign right here. Now we can factorize x squared plus 13x plus 30, which is slightly easier because a is equal to 1 in this case. This gives us x plus 3 and x plus 10, because 3 times 10 gives us 30, 3 plus 10 gives us 13. Okay, now what we are going to do is to divide all the constants within each factor by the number that we slid, which was 2. So we're going to get x plus 3 over 2, and then x plus 10 over 2. The next step is to simplify whatever possible. X plus 3 over 2 cannot be simplified. X plus 10 over 2 can be, because 10 divided by 2 is 5. The final step is to slide back anything in the denominator to x, to the front of x. So we see that there's a 2 over here, we're going to slide it back. So this would give us 2x plus 3 and x plus 5. This final factorization is equal to the initial expression, so we can just put an equal sign. All the remaining intermediate working are not equal to each other. So yeah. I find this a pretty interesting method, though it's a little bit more tedious, but I still find it kind of fun. The final method is what I call the cheating method, which essentially requires you to use your calculator. What you're gonna do, I'm gonna be using Casio FX97SGX class width, so it might work a little bit differently for different calculator brands. What you're gonna do is to press the circle button on the top right that says menu and then setup. Then after that you're gonna press 5. Then 2 to select polynomial. Then press 2 to select degree 2, because the highest power of x in our expression right here is 2 because of x squared. Okay, next you'll be prompted to this particular screen. You get ax squared plus bx plus c. You'll see like 0x squared plus 0x squared plus 0. Then what you're going to need to do is to punch in the number for A, B, and C. After that, press enter. So first, press 2. Oh, equals, I mean. Then press equal, not enter. Okay, next we are going to write 13. So 1, then 3, then press equal. Finally, you're going to put 15. So 1, 5, equals. Finally, press equals one more time. Okay, so after all this, we'll see our ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, and then we'll also see x1 is equal to something. In this case, we're going to have x1 is equal to negative 3 over 2. To get the x2, we are going to press equals again. This is negative 5. Now, what this means is that when I sub in these values into this expression right here, I'll get 0. So in this case, let's rewrite this to be 0, to be equal to 0, negative. So x, okay, we are going to rewrite it such that the right hand side is equal to 0. And we are going to write x instead. To make this the right hand side 0, we're just going to add 5. So x plus 5 is equal to 0. For this, we are going to be multiplying by 2 to get 2x is equal to negative 3. Then just add 3, so 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. We end up with x plus 5 and 2x plus 3. Those are again our factors. So you still have to remember to write equals 2x plus 3, x plus 5 when you're answering the question. And finally, to go back to your main calculator screen after doing this calculation, just press menu setup. So this one, menu setup, and then press 1. This will bring you back to your calculation. Alright, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.